I'd like to welcome everyone to a premiere broadcast, a brand new radio show called Neo Zoe, A New Life with Maryann Castello. This is Frank McKay. I'm proud to be her co-host. Hey, Maryann, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. More importantly, let's talk about you, and especially now, let's get a little bit of your history and tell us a little bit of the background and the backstory on Maryann Castello. First of all, where were you born and where were you raised?
I was born in Plainfield, New Jersey, and I was raised in Clark, New Jersey.
Where is that in relation to New York City?
Probably about 25 miles south.
I also grew up in the suburbs. Do you think growing up in the shadow of the biggest city in the country, the biggest market, had any influence on you?
Yeah, I do believe so. My thing is I feel like even though we're in the suburbs and having this type of area, I think what's really great is everybody could be able to unite in one place, easy locations, but also with the power of the internet nowadays. We also like to work with people on the internet as well. So I think it just opens up globally, besides just being in one central location.
I know you have a wonderful voice and singing is one of your passions. When did all of that start? Let's do a little bit more on your childhood.
Yeah, and that was my first love. I used to drive everybody crazy in my household. It didn't matter if I had a celery stalk in my hand or whether I had, a baton in my hand. It would be my microphone. I used to sing all the time. And I loved to, be an entertainer because I felt like singing was therapeutic for me. I always loved it, and it was something I loved to do. And I did that through my whole life, and what happens is you work your corporate jobs and everything as you grow up, but I also had my own company where I would do DJing, live vocals, karaoke, things like that when it became popular. And I did all of that for quite a few years. And then one day I just did not feel right. And it was something I did was I ignored every little sign. I think your body whispers before it cries. And I didn't pay attention to it. I did what everybody else does, where you just keep going and moving and ignoring it, hoping it goes away. And I started feeling out of sorts. I started getting dizzy. I started getting temperature change fluctuations, extreme fatigue, undesired body changes. I noticed palpitations, even panic attacks, and that's just to name a few. And I felt like everything was spiraling out of control. So I decided then, I said, you know what, it's time to go see what's going on. And I was diagnosed with a hyperthyroid, and I was prescribed medication, and I took it faithfully every day because I just wanted to feel better. But after a couple of weeks, I still was not feeling well. In fact, I felt worse. And then I got my life scare, and that's where I could not breathe. And I mean, literally couldn't breathe. My throat was closing. I was brought to the hospital emergency room 3 days in a row. And then as it turned out, I was experiencing a severe allergic reaction to the medication I was taking. And as I followed all the doctor's protocols to the letter, I followed everything they told me, my symptoms, they kept deteriorating until I was allergic to most allopathic medications. I couldn't really use much.
Wow.
And it was it's a really scary situation because, you're saying, what can I do for myself? And you don't know. You feel like everything's spiraling out of control. So I kind of felt like I had to just notice changes. And what I noticed was that if I was having a bad day, just mentally, emotionally, stressed, whatever, I was feeling that way physically. And if I was having a great day, I felt like I was on top of the world all the time. So then I thought, wow, I have control. I am in complete control of my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual self. So I empowered my own body to be able to recognize any changes I was experiencing in any given moment. And then I was able to adjust various holistic modalities that, for me, that helped me achieve homeostasis. So, but what I did realize through my experience was that I didn't want anybody else to feel this way. So I decided to start educating myself through various institutions. And this way I could help myself, my family, and anybody else. And to help achieve optimal health with the integrative approach. And when I did that, my whole entire lifestyle had changed. everything that I was complaining of, physically, everything just started to go away. It was absolutely wonderful. And what I realized is that when I noticed my lifestyle change, after a couple of months, I decided to do all the holistic modalities, different ones, and then I had more energy, desirable body changes. I had no more palpitations, no more temperature fluctuations, never a panic attack, because those things can be really debilitating. And I felt like myself again, but in some ways even better than I originally did my entire life. And then I started incorporating that with myself, my family members, my friends, my colleagues, and then I realized everybody was getting a benefit through education. And then I decided I'm going to keep educating myself. So I've been in continuing education for 15 years. I always want to stay on the frontier of innovative holistic solutions, because, the introduction of allopathic medication changes every day. And there's new dietary guidelines. And I'm committed now not only to my own personal growth, but how to help incorporate that for other people. It became my mission.
Maryann, keep your thought. I just want to interrupt to remind everyone, once again, if you're just tuning in or if you're just turning on your radio, this is Frank McKay. More importantly, you're listening to a premiere broadcast of Neo Zoe with Maryann Castello. And Maryann is, I'm going to let her say it in her words. You mentioned panic attacks and not being able to breathe. What did you think was happening?
The thing is, I didn't know. I felt very out of control, but it was one of the scariest, debilitating feelings. It was hard to even talk when I couldn't breathe, and I realized panic, just sheer panic set in, and you're wondering, is this it? You don't know what to think. And I will never forget that feeling, and I never want anybody to feel like that either. It was a wake-up call. It really was. I mean, we all go about our life. Every single day I was one of them. And it changed my life. It really did.
I know that people listening to us now and people that will be listening to the same broadcast, friends of mine, have issues. And for some reason or another, they're being disregarded by, standard practices usually or from traditional medicine. But they still have these issues and they need answers, and there has to be a place that you go to pinpoint the problems that you have and try to figure out some alternative routes. And I am all for this. I'm completely behind what you're doing, and I think you serve people very well. And I know people obviously that have been going to you that rave about the results that they've gotten. You have a storefront in New Jersey. Tell us where it is.
We are at 230 Centennial Avenue in Cranford, New Jersey, and it's conveniently located right off the Garden State Parkway. And we like to keep it in a nurturing and comforting environment because people need to feel comforted. When your body's spiraling out of control or your mind is, you need to be able to come to a space where you feel safe, where you know that you can speak your mind, just what you're saying, and that nobody is sitting here in judgment of you. We just want to be able to listen to your concerns and then figure out a plan of how we can help.
I would imagine that not only is this a relief for people, but it's a boost of empowerment at the same time. I would think that clients of yours come from all walks of life. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. What I found through this experience, that day I couldn't breathe, and it changed my entire life the way I knew it, completely how I knew it. I started to lose everything, my voice for singing, because I ended up needing a surgical procedure also within my neck area after all of this. And I felt like your whole life spiraling out of control. And then now, 15 years later, you're sitting here and you're saying, you know what? I got my life back. And that made me empowered to help other people. But there's nothing better than living your passion every day. And this has become a passion, to be able to believe in people like I believe in myself now. And that was the biggest transition, because a lot of us have self-doubt or saying just what you're saying, when people think they're not listening to you. There's nothing worse than that. And I always tell people, listen to your gut. listen to that gut feeling you have, because it will never steer you wrong. Never ignore it. Because you will find out that if you feel inside that something's wrong, doesn't matter what level it is, then go see about it. And if it keeps nagging at you, go see about it. And you keep going. And you might discover something about yourself, because I think nowadays you have to be your own doctor. Because sometimes you could go to a doctor, and to your point, they're not listening. I hear that constantly. I actually am told from my clients they've tried everything else and that this is their last resort. And there might be techniques that they've never, ever used before, but we use like a comprehensive approach for each person. And we work with them at their level. Not every, one size does not fit all, especially when you're working with people. And we do medical massage. We incorporate and customize massages. There's never, when somebody walks through the door, it's not, same thing for everybody. So we want to work in harmonious living, teach you individual lifestyles, give you a new state of mind, and then we'll give you customized recommendations and things that you can do in your everyday life. And one step at a time. It's not all done in one day, because most of us get fearful saying, I'm going to go in and I have to change everything I know in one day. And that's not true. I did it myself, and I empathize with people, I think, more because I've been through it. I really had many years where I didn't have my health. And what I try to tell people is, you can have your career, you could have everything, but at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, you don't have much of anything. And I experienced that. But to find out, by living my passion, I was able to turn my whole life around. And then all of a sudden, it was like divine intervention. A producer and arranger shows up on my doorstep for healing. And that's how I got back into music again. And the career was taking off. So never give up. Never think your life is over. Once you start believing in yourself, you start listening to yourself and making yourself a priority, not an option, but a priority, you can change your entire life.
These are excellent points. And let me remind people once again that they're listening to a premiere edition, a premiere broadcast of Neo Zoe, A New Life with Maryann Castello. This is Frank McKay. I'm proud to be her co-host. And you've made so many excellent points and giving just terrific advice here. Let's get a web contact so people can kind of follow along, hopefully not while they're driving, but if they're in front of their computer, they can kind of follow along with you through a website or a social media site.
Sure. Neo Zoe, our website is Neo Zoe, that's NEOSZOE.com. And we also have a Facebook page, Neo Zoe LLC, that we will post all kinds of ideas for you through the day and give you informative tips and be able to communicate with us. That we would love for you to like that page, and you'll get all our information as well.
Let's get a little more into your singing, if you don't mind, just for a moment. You mentioned singing into celery, into batons when you were a young girl. What were you singing into those batons, those items? Who was the music that first caught your attention? And was it a singer? Was it music? Was it a genre of music?
Well, when I was young, it was various things. I mean, I had my grandmother in the house, my mom, and they would listen to country music or even Patsy Cline, stuff like that. And then Donna Summer came along, and I liked Donna Summer a lot. And from there, it would just go into different various musics. I didn't have one genre that I listened to. It could be show tunes, it could be Broadway tunes, anything. I would just sing anything. It's whatever was in the spur of the moment. And I think that is what incorporated, transition in life, depending what my mood was. Depends what I sang, and I felt like that when I would sing, my emotions would just come out, good, bad, and different, but it was very therapeutic.
Everything that I've known about you and know about you and or read about you and heard about you all has to do with enthusiasm and passion. You seem passionate about everything you get involved with. Were you born that way? Did you develop?
Yeah, I think it's ingrained in me. I was born like this. I'm happy that I was born like this. I've done every gamut, worked in corporate for many years. I did all that, and now to be able to have that change and live my passion. And I think because I love what I do and I can empower others, and there is no better payment in life than watching other people grow. I think that keeps my energy up just naturally. It really does.
Here's another quick reminder for those just tuning in or turning on their radio that this is Frank McKay, but more importantly, the host of the new show, Neo Zoe, A New Life, is Maryann Castello, and she will be hosting once a week a broadcast on many different outlets about many things, and one of those things, and I'm being very careful here, Maryann, not to cram a whole bunch of information into a short period of time, and I know in the future weeks we will be talking about essential oils. But let me ask you this, and again, being mindful of not trying to cram information into a short period of time, what was the first essential oil that had any impact on you?
To me, it was lavender. Lavender essential oil. It's powerful, it's versatile, and the uses were endless. And I feel like that it has a sweet floral aroma. It's something that I could use, to just freshen the air, or I could use something to moisturize my skin and have skin radiance. And it was something that I found very soothing, that when I was going through all my troubles, and I was scared. I was very scared. I used to put some in a diffuser at night before I would go to bed, and it created for me a relaxing, calming atmosphere, peaceful, spa-like, and just fell asleep in comfort every night instead of the fear.
Also, if you can give us a couple of examples of some of the issues that people are addressing with your services in the store.
Well, what they come in for, they might want to do a healthy weight loss. I hear that a lot. How can I maintain a healthy weight loss? They might want to maintain healthy blood glucose or healthy lipid metabolism, and basically a lifestyle change. They might want to change their environment. They might, they want to maintain their immune system, especially during the winter seasons or the cold seasons, things like that. So it really varies. Everybody, we do sports nutrition, so they might be getting ready for a marathon and need some help with that, or they've exercised too much and their body, needs to be uplifted, well, shall we say. And it's just a wonderful feeling because there's not just one thing that walks through the door. Everybody has their own significant challenge that they would like to deal with, and we just work with them. And then sometimes they come in for one thing and realize, wow, I didn't realize I needed something else, or I needed to, speak with you and see what's going on. So it's something where I have a very long questionnaire when they come in about their life. It incorporates every aspect of their life, because not only on the physical, we also would like to delve into the mental, emotional, and spiritual side of people, and just to be able to help them make the changes and be there for support. I think that's the most important thing, is I think people leave offices and they feel like, wow, I just got there, I had my time, now what? I'm the type of person, I call to check in. I want to see how you're doing, or encourage people to keep giving me feedback, because to help them, they have to provide me the feedback, and then they become very compliant. And compliance is a very big commitment for me. And I like to see people that are compliant, because if you're not, lifestyle changes may not work for you.
A reminder that we are nearing the end of our premiere broadcast of Neo Zoe, A New Life with Maryann Castello. Frank McKay here, proud to be her co-host and co-pilot on this journey, which is going to take us into a lot of different directions. And Maryann, again, trying not to get into big, heavy subjects with very little time left, but there are people that are clients of yours that are dealing with special need children, and they're raising their children, or they have special needs themselves, and they're coming to you as clients to address these needs. Can you give us an overview of what some of these issues may be?
Absolutely. Aromatherapy is very effective with dealing with autism or special needs in particular. And what we try to do is support. So you could put the essential oils in a diffuser, and you could be able to put the diffuser in a room while they're trying to do their homework. So this way it can keep them focused and balanced and attentive to their work. You can have things that if they're having some type of stomach distress, meaning, if they're not feeling their best, or maybe they're nervous doing their homework, or anxiety, or something like that, you have oils that can help accomplish, so this way they can maintain a healthy environment for themselves. I've seen them just teaching children, especially, how to use essential oils and showing how to apply them topically to their skin. It becomes a game for them, but in turn they're healing themselves. And it empowers them because they know that they have a tool in their toolbox that they can go to be able to help with focus, to be able to relax, make them feel good about themselves, and most of all, to know that they're being supported. And it's something that I've seen a big turnaround. Special needs is actually very personal to me as well, and it changes lives. I've literally seen it change lives.
In closing, just want to remind everyone once again that they've been listening to Maryann Castello and Neo Zoe, A New Life with Maryann Castello, which is a brand new show. This is the premiere broadcast, and we will be back week after week. And Maryann, just give us a website one last time before we go.
Sure, it's www.neoszoe, that's neoszoe.com.
Finally, I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and I hope you continue to listen to us. Again, Frank McKay here. The name of the show is Neo Zoe, A New Life with Maryann Castello. You've been listening to Maryann's voice throughout this broadcast. Now you'll be listening to her singing voice as we close. We'll see you next week on Neo Zoe, A New Life